Here we are. We're at the Fuller Craft Museum, ready to go in. We're in front of one of their rabbit sculptures. Yeah, Donnie Darko, a little creepy. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, he's ginormous, but you know, adding a little fun. So we're gonna go in.
We're gonna go check it out. This outfit. It's a whole top and pants combination. Beautiful. Who doesn't have a jar of buttons, like, somewhere in their house? So we're at the exhibit we really came to see, and that's a collection of quilts by Michael Thorpe.
Should we tell them how we happened upon knowing this was?
Definitely.
It was so funny. So we were both in different cars heading home from the studio, and I was listening to NPR and Haley was listening to NPR, and we both heard the story about this exhibit, and we both were like, we have to go, we have to go.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that we were
right until we texted each other.
Didn't tell that story.
No, it's okay. We independently found out about this exhibit and both decided that we need to come together. So here we are.
The depth in this. Like you have this layering here, and then it's almost like the inside is coming out with the batting, then being on the outside again. Think of Donna with this one. Yeah, that is interesting to me.
So Liz and I were just talking about this piece, and we both noticed that it looked quite a bit different than the rest. And one of the reasons why is, Liz, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I was saying to Haley, it's, first of all, it's much more recognizable. It's kind of a traditional way of quilting. It's pieced. You recognize the background as a quilt. Like somebody who doesn't quilt would see this and think, oh, that's a quilt.
For sure.
And then even the way he's quilted it, he's done it with a long arm, it looks like, and a pentagram, which is where the machine actually does the quilting for you. You're not quilting it by yourself. And then this, of course, figure was added on afterwards, and he did that. He's quilted that, not by hand, but by hand on the machine. You know, he's moved the fabric through the machine, and it's very illustrative. And then we noticed that he did this in 2020. And you know what I do remember when we were reading about him, he hasn't been quilting for a long, long time. So this was probably one of his earlier works.
Yeah.
And Haley and I, we both said this is one we had seen before.
Yeah, and an advertisement.
Haley brought up the point, maybe because it's much more recognizable as a quilt for somebody who wanted to come and
so
look
come
at quilts.
and it's not that we didn't see some of the other ones. We
did.
I recognize this one's definitely seeing.
This
and
one's
this
very
is like,
different.
Like a gateway. It's like a gateway quilt. Come see the show. They're about quilts.
Yes,
and then come see the more
it's like a
contemporary work.
It's a bait and
switch.
switch.
Bait and switch. Yeah, even the edges are much more completed. Although not completed totally.
Because before every other one, like I think if he did this guy would have been made out of batting, or maybe he would have had like a random square over here that was left exposed. So like I think it would be really interesting in a way if he had all this pieced traditionally, but then like this one orange square, instead of being orange, was just a batting, like a
like pieced out or something. Yeah, pieced away. But yeah, so it's interesting. We noticed, we spotted sort of the difference with this one. Still quite beautiful, still daring, but different than the other ones. So that's what our take on it. Who knows if we're
Who
right?
knows? He'd probably tell us if we were totally wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the great thing about art is we get to bring to it what we see and what we feel.
Right.
And I like that. Haley knows, she's heard me say this. One of my favorite sayings is don't ever compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. And I feel like here we're seeing his beginning. Yeah,
2020.
The middle.
And then
looks completely different.
All these other things.
Yes.
Here, let me see if I can.
You can see here, he's added batting to make this figure, and then he's layered fabric on top of that.
Yeah.
So he's sort of defined almost as if, because she has her own batting, she could be kind of her own quilt in and of itself. And he hasn't done that with the furniture or the piano, only with the people. So it's almost like saying these are more important than the other things in this room.
Yeah,
and
that's I'm gonna. So I'm filming again. Okay. Yeah, there's the people. They stick out and they have those edges. Yeah. And so that becomes, not only is it a maybe practical choice for making them and sticking them on, but it becomes almost like a cartoonish outline to differentiate them, as Liz said. So
and it adds depth. I mean, it's like there's something called trapunto in quilting where you actually add loft into something, but normally you kind of hide that. It's kind of like, oh, look, that's puffier than everything else. But
I've seen that before.
Like, I'm doing it.
I'm learning so much. I don't know much about quilting, so Liz is my teacher today.
I picture this as a self-portrait. I don't know, just because he's so happy, and when he was talking, he seemed like a very joyful person when we heard him in the interview.
Could be.
I don't know.
It's an interesting choice to put it down on the what do you call that?
A pallet.
Pallet. Yeah, on the floor.
Yes.
But I actually really like that because it gives more room. I wonder if that's a practical issue too, as far as like hanging this. But
it could be.
You know, I think about that when I make my work.
Because that is heavy.
Yeah. Could be. But just the fact that you have to look down at it is interesting.
That's part of the square. So worried about having it finished, like you know,
we've been talking about
finishing
that.
it, and adding felt to the back, and maybe I just need to say, guess what? I'm just going to use the edge of the batting as my edge.
Right. It's something that's great for me to see since I'm starting to work larger. And thinking about that, you know, I as much as I keep saying I'm not gonna think about like the logistics of it, I'm always thinking about like what kind of ground am I gonna put my piece on? And
that kind of stuff keeps me awake at night. Like thinking about how you're gonna finish something.
Right.
How am I gonna finish that? I want to make this shape. How am I gonna make this shape?
Yeah, or where's it gonna live?
Yeah, and then this is an interesting choice too. This is the only one that's behind glass.
Yeah, I know. I wonder why.
I know. I don't No, I would
I
say this
I
is
bet it
probably
hung-
the most refined.
Yeah, I'm
piece.
wondering if it hung somewhere where it had to be.
Yeah, maybe.
And then it's just came back to the artist and now
Yeah.
exists in this way.
I love the dimension of this. It looks like a football match
Yeah,
on
it has
TV.
this
Soccer.
right, it has
Yeah.
that like
we're
Van
looking at it
Gogh
from the
room,
side.
you know, kind of the perspective, but it's a little wonky purposefully. But yeah.
When was this one? Oh no, this is one of his earlier ones, 2021.
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that, but now that we're looking at it,
Yeah.
I love the plants. They're so fun.
And there is a lot more quilting in this one too.
Yeah.
Like, and he's done some traditional types of quilting, like he's done the stippling in the background,
Mhm.
he's done the echo quilting, you know, he's quilted around different areas. The quilting really defines the objects.
Yeah,
And some of these, when was this one? This one is more about the
2024.
color and the shape.
for
and the-
sure. Definitely more abstract.
Yeah.
And you can tell which ones, well, you can probably guess which ones I love the most, which are the total
Really love this one.
abstraction, crazy color.
Yeah.
This blue, orange,
It's so hard not to touch.
orange. I know. Well, it's funny too because the batting makes them seem so soft.
Really like you want to touch it. Yeah.
Yep.
And this one's fun. So that must be a self-portrait because this looks like the same person.
Probably.
The mustache.
Probably. Does it have a title?
For hypnotic subject.
Oh, that's not exactly telling,
No.
but that's okay.
Yeah, so we were just saying that this one seems unique in that all of the colorful areas are appliqued over this tapestry that looks pretty darn old.
Yeah, it's existing. It doesn't say.
It doesn't, but I'm certainly not an antiques
No.
dealer, so I don't know.
But it looks.
It has a couple little holes in there, but
So I know it's kind of a silly question because they're all beautiful and inspiring, but if you had a favorite for some sort of reason, can you pick one out?
Hold on, let me. I think I have two.
Oh
Is
yeah,
my problem.
tell us.
Okay, and both for the same reason, but in different. I love the blue one when we first came in
Mm-hmm.
because of the layering, the physicality, the physical layering, like
Mhm.
where he's created depth with
Yeah.
layering and layering and layering, and the abstraction of that.
Sure.
But then also, that's the same reason I love this one, because of the layering of objects, but also a story. Like I feel like there's so much going on.
Very illustrative.
Yes, and there's, we're seeing out of the windows, and then we see the window, and then we see the plant in front of the window, and then we're in the room, and then we were saying how we're on sort of the side of the room because of the way the angles of the television, and so it's sort of again taking us through these layers, and I feel like, well, this one does it too. I don't know. I just really see it in that blue one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a little more batting involved in that one. Where
Sure.
the batting is layered on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems very poofy.
Yes. Yeah.
I
So
really
I would
like
say
that
those were
one,
my
too.
two favorites. I do also love this guy.
Yeah, I love the center.
Yeah. Central
Portrait.
Italian kind of.
And I love the trees. It's so different. It's much different than the other ones. And yeah.
It almost reminds me of like a tapestry or a toile fabric, where like he used in this as the background.
Yeah,
I wonder if
perhaps
he was
being
inspired
more
by that.
inspired by.
What year? This one's 2021.
Wow, that's
Somebody
amazing.
owns that one. And this one's 2024, so he would not
Yeah.
have been inspired by that because unless he had the fabric, he could
Yeah.
have.
Or just
Just the
same ideas.
Yeah.
You know how ideas repeat themselves over years.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I think this was worth the 45, 50-minute drive today. I mean, obviously we're seeing a couple other exhibits here too, so but this is really the one we want to come see. We're very like inspired. You know, it's great to see working big too.
Yeah,
Like,
because we've been talking so much about working big. You're absolutely right. Even though now we've both been like working.
I know.
small
We're
again.
doing both. We're doing both. Like we said we would. It just took us a while.
Yeah. And how long is this show up? Can you remember?
Oh, you know,
I want to say it was through like November.
I feel like it was through November because we
Yeah.
talked about coming and we're like, well, we have through November. Anyway, we can link it. We'll link it along with, you know, maybe that the whole thing that inspired us to come here, which was that interview on NPR, which was worth a listen. I can't remember. Yeah.
We'll find it.
Well, we will find it.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
anyhow,
definitely worth it.
if you're somewhere in the Brockton, Massachusetts area, you know, come on down. Yeah, it wasn't hard to get here. So,
and it's a beautiful building.
It's
I've
a
never
really
been
fun
here
building.
before, so
Yeah.
I'm thrilled just to be here.
Yeah.
But to see this show was an added
Yeah.
bonus.
So awesome. Thanks for coming along with us. Huh. Look at this. Grade school kids. All right, we're just walking out of the museum now. It is a beautiful day.
It is gorgeous.
We're getting a nice breeze from that pond, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what'd you think overall of the Fuller
I
Craft?
loved it. I've never been here.
Yeah.
I know Haley's taught here and been here and done things with them. I have never been here. It was like a super pleasant surprise. I really, and the Tiny Pricks Project was here, which I didn't know that was going to be here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I would
this is
say
great.
there's always, you know, there's usually, I would say 4 or 5 exhibits going on. There's usually 2 that I'm really interested in. I think that's like a win. So, and it probably took us like an hour to go through, right? Hour 15.
And we saw incredible artwork by high school artists.
Yeah,
that was,
absolutely.
I really thought that was great.
Yeah,
That
cool.
was, enjoyable, thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for coming along. Bye. We decided to take the path back to the parking lot and see some art while we're doing it. What is that? Oh, I can't even read that sign.
Joseph Wheelwright, Sweet Face.
Oh, it is a sweet face.
It is.
Very
Wow.
cool. Oh, it's warm in that sun.
Spiderweb.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Those are cool.
Wow, yeah.
Joe Beasley Riley?
Interesting. It's like tools, but they're like
Yeah.
little figures. Very cool. And then of course this large sculpture, David Lang, 1941 to 2017. The question is the answer.